Hi, how are you? Hope you're all doing well. Today I would like to discuss the topic of practice schedules. If you would like to practice more, but you find it difficult to fit it into your schedule, or you're just having a little bit of difficult time with time management, if you just would like to practice more than you're actually doing and you need a little boost, if you see that your student, is not practicing very regularly, whether you're the parent or the teacher, I would suggest that you try this method. Several, students have come to me over the years, over time, telling me that, they, couldn't practice as much as they wanted to. When I begin to hear this kind of excuse a couple times in a row, then I usually just sit down with them and I say, okay, it's fine, always, take a very approachable, attitude in the beginning and see what you can do to support the students. So you want them to always be able to, come to you and be honest. The one I don't like is when students they don't say anything and they just act like they practice, and I have to find out the hard way that they didn't practice, and then we end up just wasting time. There are times when my students are just very, very good students, but there's this one week where, they had some huge event and they couldn't practice. So I actually take advantage of those times and I actually practice with them. So we just spend the whole lesson practicing. But anyway, getting back on topic, so what we do is we just sit down together and I just write down a few notes as to what they were able to do, like say last week. So if they didn't have a good practice week, we just look back, at the last 7 days. So let's say I'm meeting with them on a Wednesday, and so I'm, sitting down with them on a Wednesday, and their lessons are on Wednesdays. Then I say, well, since last Wednesday to this Wednesday, when did you actually practice? And they'll say, I only practiced on Saturday or something. Or maybe they'll say they only practiced on Saturday and Sunday. That might be an indication that their, weekly activities are, quite heavy. So anyway, we just look at what actually happened. Sometimes it's just like for a short season. So, they have some big tryouts, or, it could be something that's not a permanent situation. So then maybe this coming week, they'll tell me, well, this week it's something different. Or maybe they'll say this week is even worse, and then the following week it's going to be a bit more normal. So even so, we still do use the same approach. So then I say, okay, well, do you think you can still practice on Saturday again this week? And then usually they say yes, they can do a little bit. So then we look ahead and we try to predict when will they have a time to practice. So we might write down, Saturday and then Tuesday or something like that. It might seem so little and very, very minimal, but the main thing is to be honest. So you really want to have a realistic, view of what you can do. I do the same approach with new students who come to me and already have some violin experience, but they come to me, for the first time. And so I usually sit down and look at the practice structure. I usually do it with the parent if they're younger. And we talk about what's realistic. What do they actually do? What do they really practice? If it's only 10 minutes per day, or if it's only 30 minutes per day, if it's only 1 hour per day, it depends on the level. So if you feel like the length in minutes is very, very small, it's okay. Let's not worry about that right now. So once we plan the projected, practice schedule, then, we just spend the rest of the lesson doing things. And then in the following week, they come back. And then I ask them, well, how did it actually go? And so then we kind of compare what we predicted to what actually happened. And then usually by then, they start to see a bit of a pattern, like maybe they were able to practice on Saturday and Tuesday on both weeks, even though one was a lighter week and one was a busier week. So then you start to see that, I think these days are reliable days where you can kind of trust yourself to practice. And then we look ahead to the next week that's coming, and then, probably the busy season may have passed or whatever, whatnot, and then we can hopefully get a couple more days, on the plan. So we might say tomorrow, that would be like a Thursday, for example, Thursday, Saturday, and then Tuesday, maybe we can squeeze in a Monday. I have some kids who they're out like all day long, and it just really seems impossible for them to find the time to practice. And so what I usually say is, when things look pretty impossible, you might need to practice. When things look pretty impossible, you might need to practice before all the craziness begins. You might have to wake up a little bit early and practice. Now, once we do this looking back, looking ahead, picking out a few days, and then what happens is they start to gain confidence that they, were able to stick to a certain, routine for a couple, 2-3 weeks in a row. And so they end up, getting into certain, at least a little bit of a rhythm, right, with their practice. And they also gain confidence. And so, I think they feel like they're letting themselves down too. So you want to give them that, that boost, and making sure that they know they're capable, of working hard, sticking to a schedule, keeping their word. And if little things happen here and there, it's fine, because that's life. So a couple of things to think about. First thing is that notice that I didn't really specify how long, even if they're just practicing a tiny bit, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's better than nothing, because the hardest part in establishing a routine is just doing it, so if you even just getting your violin out sometimes seems like a challenge. So even just doing it, the act of getting it out, getting ready, tuning, practicing a little bit, and then putting it away, that's already, we're 90% there. So once the student gets into a routine, then we can talk about lengthening the time a little bit. The students that I have that are super busy, they usually only have a few days where they can have a full practice, and then they have a couple days where they can only manage to have like 10 minutes or so. So if you have a student like that, then I would say just let it be. If there are days that they can only do a little bit, then just do a little bit. But then they need to understand they should make up the work on the other days. So if they know they have plenty of time, let's say 2 days per week or 3 days per week. I'm talking about, the really, really busy person. Typically, to be honest, every student should be practicing every single day. That's really the norm. So I'm just trying to kind of really, bring the expectations much, looser, right? And it's something, this is an approachable, method. And once you kind of, gain your footing, right, using this method and just commit to certain days, then it's so much easier to keep that routine for a while. You have to use your best judgment and let them keep it for a while, and then challenge them to, add maybe a little bit more. So you either add an extra day, right? Or you're going to add, lengthen the actual amount of practice. So I hope this helps. I think this method works for anything, not just practicing. So if you find that you don't have time to do anything like homework, cooking, like prepping your meals, because you should, try to eat healthy. So you have to, do the planning, you have to do the groceries, you have to, wash wash the vegetables. Sometimes, you know, we don't want to spend the time doing that every single day. So if you just kind of, you know, carve out the time, then that works really, really well. So any new habit you're trying to form, you know, this should work very, very well. So I hope that helps. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I feel like I forgot a couple things, but anyway, I'll see you in the next one.